She could enter the Spanish queen's chamber even when the king was present. Princess Asina wielded the broadest authority. The first lady of the court of Maria Luisa of Savoy had more power than the queen herself. It was no coincidence that she was referred to as the Lady over Kings. In 13 years in Madrid, the princess had more influence on politics than the ruler of Spain, Philip V. But such power always invites resentment. Moreover, the favorite of the ruling couple sometimes overstepped her bounds. It all began at the dawn of the 18th century when the young daughter of the Duke of Savoy married the young Spanish king, Philip V. Both the bride and groom had French blood running through their veins, as they were both great-grandchildren of King Louis XIII. However, their close kinship had never bothered their families before, and they were not concerned about it then either. The main thing was that Philip had inherited the throne, and Maria Luisa was suitable for him in terms of age and lineage. A mature and experienced lady in court intrigues, Maria Ana de la Tremouille was immediately assigned to the 13-year-old queen. Her second marriage had granted her the title of Princess of Orsini, which she adapted to the French style. Therefore, in our story, she will also be referred to as Princess Asina. Unfortunately, aside from her illustrious ancient name, this lady had acquired nothing else. On the contrary, her husband left her with so much debt that she would never have been able to extricate herself alone. But, fortunately for the princess, she was friends with the most influential woman in France, Madame de Maintenon. The second, morganatic wife of King Louis XIV, understood her old acquaintance's plight. The princess was freed from her bothersome creditors, but was asked for an important favor. She had to travel to Madrid to mentor the young royal couple. In reality, her role was that of a high-ranking spy. Since Spain had fallen into the hands of the French heir, it was essential to stay alert. What if Philip V desired more independence? Thus, Maria Ana found herself in Madrid. Duke de Saint-Simon wrote about her. She had read extensively and was intelligent. She was the person best prepared for intrigue, as her ambitions were so great that they sometimes surpassed those of the men of our time. She was always driven by the desire to rule. You couldn't ask for a better description, and in Spain, this desire to rule flourished. The teenage queen dared not take a step without the permission of her first lady. It was Maria Ana Asina who decided how the queen should dress, where she should go, and what she should say. Anyone who attended an audience with Maria Luisa of Savoy would invariably see her chief assistant sewing in the corner. But Princess Asina wasn't just creating patterns. She was weaving webs of intrigue. It was at her behest that appointments to all significant positions were made. The queen's personal life was also under the control of the first lady of the chamber. Noticing that the young Philip was burning with passion for his wife, Princess Asina insisted that the king and queen share a room. This went against court protocol, as the monarch was expected to greet everyone each morning in separate quarters. However, this authoritative lady's innovation helped to foster a relationship between the young couple and allowed her to influence it from the sidelines. Soon, Versailles grew concerned. Rumors began to swirl about the princess's increasingly excessive influence. It was said that the First Lady acted arrogantly even towards the Spanish Queen, issuing orders to Philip V publicly. Whispers suggested that the interests of France meant nothing to her and that she had long been dependent on Spanish advisors. To some extent, this was true, as Asina had advised the King of Spain to primarily rely on the local nobility. Consequently, she was summoned back to Paris. Interestingly, it was Queen Maria Luisa who first opposed this decision. She had grown so accustomed to her dependent role that she had no idea how to function without Princess Asina. Pleas were sent to Versailles, and a year later, the First Lady was returned to Madrid. In the following years, the Queen became a mother 4 times, but soon she was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Young, beautiful, and full of life, Maria Luisa passed away. In December of that same year, Philip V remarried, this time to Isabella Farn. The new queen was not about to tolerate the old ways. The First Lady of the chamber was dismissed. Queen Isabella had no intention of allowing her subordinate to manipulate her or the politics of Spain. By that time, Princess Asina was 72 years old, and she certainly deserved a chance to rest. But in reality, it was not a dignified retirement, but a disgraceful exile. Once the most influential woman at the Spanish court, she made her way to Versailles, where she was received very unfavorably. After that, the elderly woman traveled to Italy. Princess Asina passed away, and soon after, the Spanish king began to show signs of madness. He suffered from severe depression until his death in the middle of the 18th century. While he refused to engage in state affairs, Isabella Farnese took on his responsibilities. She became the mistress of Spain, both in title and in actual status. But that is a whole different story.